Good morning. Starting the recording. It's just a few minutes past 9:30, and we don't have any folks joined in live today. Let's get back just a smidge. I'm going to move back for our movement, but I'll stay close for this part. My name is Valerie, and I'm one of the yoga teachers with Bounty and Soul. And since COVID, we've tried a couple of different things. We had live classes on Facebook for a while, so there's Facebook Live, and then we switched to these Zoom classes. This one's being recorded, even though we don't have anybody on live. And we usually post the link. You can find the link on the website or on the Facebook page to join live. And you can see all the recordings from the last year on the website as well as on the Facebook page. And hopefully, we're exploring options right now on maybe some ways that we can have some in person classes outside as things are shifting. And we always welcome your feedback on what we've been doing with these Zooms versus the Facebook Lives, what feels more accessible to you. So Danielle and I shared this class on Tuesdays. We alternate, and then Diego teaches on Saturday. And we do have some other teachers that will be rotating in, and maybe some changes coming up about some workshops and series. I'm going to give just a couple minutes for folks to join in. We do sometimes have folks that join in a little bit late, so we'll give maybe about 10 minutes, so another 5 minutes for that. And I was going to read this during Shavasana, which I think I'll read it again during Shavasana, but I'll just go ahead and read it here so that those of you that are watching this as a recording can maybe be listening to this as you're setting up your space, or if you're watching as a recording and you're already set up, then I would just invite you to either go ahead and be seated, a comfortable seating pose, with sits bones resting evenly on the ground or your bolster, or you can lay down while I'm reading this. And this is from a book called The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. I have read from this before, and this was a gift. A dear friend recommended it, and then um, my mother-in-law gifted it to me. So it's got little meditations for each day, and this one is from May 1st. And it's called Burying and Planting. Turn the music down while I read this. The culmination of one love, one dream, one self is the anonymous seed of the next. There's very little difference between burying and planting. For often we need to put dead things to rest so that new life can grow. And further, the thing put to rest, whether it be a loved one, a dream, or a false way of seeing, becomes the fertilizer for the life about to form. As the well used thing joins with the earth, the old love fertilizes the new. The broken dream fertilizes the dream yet conceived. The painful way of being that strapped us to the world fertilizes the freer inner stance about to unfold. This is very helpful when considering the many forms of self we inhabit over a lifetime. One self carries us to the extent of its usefulness and then dies. We are then forced to put that once beloved skin to rest, to join it with the ground of spirit from which it came, so it may fertilize the next skin of self that will carry us into tomorrow. There's always grief for what is lost and always surprise at what is to be born. But much of our pain in living comes from wearing a dead and useless skin, refusing to put it to rest, or from burying such things with the intent of hiding them rather than relinquishing them. For every new way of being, there is a failed attempt mulching beneath the tongue. For every sprig that breaks surface, there's an old stick stirring underground. For every moment of joy sprouting, there is a new moment of struggle taking root. We live, embrace, and put to rest our dearest things, including how we see ourselves, so we can resurrect our lives anew. And he has some prompts here. Try to identify one aspect of your way in the world that has outlived its usefulness. a way of thinking or feeling or speaking or relating. So I'll say that again. I think I'm just going to that be an invitation for our practice today. We're going to have a really gentle practice, almost like a yin with holding some poses longer. And coming back to in those holds and with the breath, identifying an aspect, could be one aspect or more, trusting that what comes up for you is right. Identify an aspect of your way in the world that has outlived its usefulness. It doesn't mean it was never useful. It just means that no longer, right? It's the shedding. We all go through cycles. One way of being that's outlived its usefulness. It can be a way of thinking, feeling, speaking, or relating. So you can think of that too as it can be a physical piece of yourself. It can be emotional, psychological, even spiritual. So we're going to come back to that invitation of that piece, understanding why we're still wearing it, and then, what might you want to do to release that? Releasing it with the breath. Maybe it's writing down on paper and actually burying it in your garden or just in the soil. So just thinking about that, and let's just tune in here for a minute and I'll move back. We'll come into some movement, but so again, whether you're on your back or seated, taking a few breaths, breathing in through the nostrils and out through the mouth. More. So I'm going to move back. So I'm going to bring a little more movement so you can see me a little more. So I also want to share with you guys. So I've recently started working out in the gym again, lifting weights. So if I'm moving kind of like slowly and not so gracefully, I've been doing deadlifts and weighted squats and all these things that I haven't done in a while, and my body is really feeling it. So yeah. All right, so let's come in. If you have been on your back, if you're on your back for that kind of tuning in, go ahead and rock and roll. Rock from side to side, rock and roll to seated, or come onto your side and come up so we can all be together here. And seated. Inhaling, allowing that inhale to come through the chest, the ribs, into the belly, even to the root. And release through the mouth. I might do a little tapping for sinus pressure. I don't know about you guys, but this allergy season has been intense. But let's do some neck and shoulder rolls first. So releasing the chin towards the chest. I'm drawing the left ear to left shoulder. Back through center, right ear to right shoulder. So you can decide, just depending on what feels good and safe for your neck. So with neck rolls, you may want to have that movement be from one ear to the other, or maybe it feels good to have that movement go all the way around. But just noticing what feels safe, and if you have any compression in your neck injury, then just going from ear to ear might feel best. But wherever you are, change direction. And staying connected to the breath, inhaling through the nostrils, maybe moving into that release, that exhale also through the nostrils. And then coming back to center. Let's do some shoulder rolls. So inhaling, shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale down and around. Oh my goodness. So I did some shoulder presses and chest presses yesterday, you guys. So feeling it. kind of like that shedding of the skin and that releasing and burying. I think that when we are coming into a new physical practice and feeling that movement, it's kind of a similar sort of release, right? It hurts, but we know that we're activating new muscles, creating new muscle memory. Let's change directions. And inhaling the arms up, exhaling hands to heart center. Inhale up, exhale. And pausing with hands at heart center. So coming back to the breath, breathing in through the nostrils, exhaling also through the nostrils. Coming back to that question, what is it? What piece have we outgrown? What has our heart, what has our soul outgrown in this cycle? What are we ready to release, and bury, and shed so that we can grow anew? Releasing the hands to the thighs and the knees. Let's do a little spinal flexes and some circles, and then we're going to come back to that tapping for allergies, sinuses. So we're going to keep the sits bones firmly rooted here as you're making circles with the spine. So pelvic bowl staying rooted to your mat, chair, cushion. Let's change directions. And if you want to, again, what feels safe for your neck and shoulders, you can really kind of release the head and neck and get into some more fluid movements here. Or if it feels better to keep the moves kind of small and the spine and neck straight, experiment with both. Coming back to center. Let's inhale forward, leading with the collarbones and the chin. And then exhale, chin towards the chest, navel towards the spine. Inhale forward, exhale. And coming back to neutral. So I'll do a little tapping here before we come back to some more movement. So we're going to start with tapping on the collarbones here, the bony protrusions going out towards the shoulders. And then we're going to make butterfly hands in front of the neck. The perspective is always so funny on these videos. Look like giant hands. And so the butterfly hands are coming just along the side of the neck here, and then hands behind the neck. Oh, that feels good, right? A little soft massage. We start at the bottom here because if we're opening up the sinuses here and lymphatics here, we want it to have a place to drain down, right? So if we have kind of open this part first, and then let's take the earlobes and just kind of gently pinch and pull down. And then we're going to take our hands like this, and hands are going to go outside the ear. So your ear's going in the spot here, and then pulling down along the jawline. So doing both at the same time. This is something you could do anytime throughout the day. Do it while you're watching TV, or if you work at a computer, take breaks throughout the day. All right, so then we're going to tap gently from the corner of the eye to the inside corner of the eye to the outside. Gently. Starting there right below the eye and then kind of working your way down and back up. And I'm going to tap from the inner eyebrow to the outer. And the center of the head coming out. And a little massage for the scalp. Oh, yeah. And then we're going to just do the whole process back down. So, forehead, tap the brow. Also, a lot of meridian points here. If you're familiar with EFT or emotional freedom techniques, some of these are points that we would tap there. Activating these is nice. And go back to the outer ear, go on the jawline. And front of the neck. Actually, back was first, yeah. So we'll go on backwards. And tap. And then also let's just tap right here on the sternum. Be a good activation point for our immune system. So you can tap here or even do a little, make a fist. Or with your fingers, rub here on the spot down the center of the sternum. Or tap. All right, so then just coming back to seated. Noticing how that feels. Breathing in through the nostrils. Again, feeling the breath come past the chest, into the ribs, into the belly, maybe even all the way to the root. And we'll exhale through the mouth again. Actually, let's do a few shoulder shrugs and exhale through the mouth, and then we'll come on the hands and knees. So inhaling the shoulders up. Exhale through the mouth with a sigh. Nice. Let's do 4 more of those. Inhale up. So you can make that sigh softer or more intense. 2 more, your choice of intensity. Nice. Okay. All right, so we're going to come on the hands and knees. I'm going to just pull my hair out of the way. And miss being live in person. Miss having you guys live on here too, because it can be fun. Even though we're not together in Zoom, we can still communicate. But I'm glad that we have these recorded, and hopefully you guys are able to come back to them. All right, so this flowy shirt today. All right, so coming into tabletop, knees are directly under the shoulders, hands are underneath. I'm sorry, knees are under the hip bones, hands are under the shoulders. And we're going to inhale, lift the chin, lift the tailbone. Exhale, navel towards the spine, chin towards the chest. Inhale up. Exhale. So a few more times. Again, your pace with the breath. Inhaling up. Exhaling. And we're going to add a little flow to this, option for a little flow. So inhale, lift the chin. Exhale, press the palms into the floor, navel towards the spine, and then lowering back into child's pose. Then we're going to scoop along the floor. Inhale up. Exhale, press back. Inhale. Exhale, down back to child's pose. Inhale, scoop along the bottom. Exhale, coming back. So, at your own pace. And the next one that we lower down into child's pose, we're going to hold in child's pose. So back a little, and actually, if you have a bolster or a firm pillow or a blanket, you could fold a couple of times to make it more something firm to lay on. I'm going to come into child's pose, a supported child's pose. Okay, so knees are spread wide. Turning the head to one side. We're going to hang out here for about 10 breaths before we turn the head to the other side. And as you're ready, turning the head to the other side. Let's see how this looks from this angle. So we don't have professional camera people, y'all, so you probably noticed on these classes that we're doing from home, just like yours. Turning to the other side. We're going to have about another 10 breaths with the head turned this way. If you can relax the tailbone down towards the ankles, relax the shoulders. Really allow your pillow or blanket or bolster or just the earth. You could also have your arms folded. You don't have something to rest on. So let's hang out here for another minute. Let's if you have a bolster or something here, go ahead and move that out of the way and extend the arms out in front of you. The palms pressing into the floor. It's an invitation for another 10 breaths. We're going to be here. An invitation to come back to that meditation that we started off with. So thinking about what is it in your life now, recently, or maybe it's been something that's been around for a long time. But what is it that's no longer serving? Is it a way of being, a way of seeing yourself or others? A feeling, an attachment? Maybe just imagining yourself on the exhale, releasing that into the earth. Releasing it with each breath, noticing with each inhale and exhale any places that might be softening in the body. And knowing that with the exhale, as you're releasing what no longer serves, not only are we creating this rich, fertile soil, this compost for what's new and to grow, you're creating space within, right? It's internal space. And more space equals more capacity, right? The more spacious we feel inside, almost always the more capacity we have, right? That feeling of compression and tightness inside is usually not a good feeling. So yes, I know we're holding things really long, which on this again like a more like a restorative or yin kind of holds. And so let's come back into tabletop here, and you can use your bolster if you want to. I think I will use mine, but if you don't have one, you can totally just do this on the mat. I'm just making any adjustments that you need to make in your space. All right, so I have a bolster in front of me. Again, this could be a folded blanket, a folded towel. If it's a pillow, just make sure it's really firm. Do a few cat-cow stretches to reset here. So inhaling up, exhale, chin towards chest, navel towards the spine, inhale, exhale. Okay, so we're gonna bring, I need to be watching the time a little bit too, guys. Oh, let's turn our music back on. We don't have a sound person. so then you guys can hear, but all right. So we're gonna bring the left palm to center, either onto the floor, bolster, folded blanket, and then we're gonna inhale, opening the right palm up, and then exhale, needling through. We're gonna flow here a few times before landing. So needling through, that right palm's facing up. And then we're gonna press back down through the left hand, evenly through all 5 fingers. Inhale up, so that right hand's facing away from you. Right palm's facing away. Exhale, lower through. Again, we're moving really slow today. Longer hold, slow movement. We want to practice to be more fiery. Just slowing down. There's just a lot of information. Okay, so needling through. We're going to allow the right shoulder to come to rest on the floor, blanket, or bolster. That left palm, the right palm's facing up. The left palm can be on the ground. Fingers here. I'm lifting my head every once in a while, look at the camera, but you guys are just allowing the head to relax and stay put on the floor or whatever support you have. So it might feel like you just want to stay right here, or it may feel okay to lift that left arm up, make some more circles. Maybe bring that left hand to rest on the sacrum, on the lower back. Give a little massage to your own sacrum there. It might feel good to allow that hand to drip over towards the crease of the right hip. Wherever you have decided that you want that left hand to be, pause and breathe. And noticing again. Maybe it's even asking the body, asking, what is it? What am I ready to release? What needs to be buried? What can be buried to be compost, to be transformed, transmuted into something new? And then we're going to root back down through that left arm one more time, opening up, stretching all along the right chest, pectoralis muscles. And then lower down, back to tabletop. So let's just do a little bit of something in between here again. So inhale, looking up, exhale, pressing with the cat. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, we're going to squeeze left shoulder towards the left hip. Like you're looking back towards your pocket, if you have pockets on your pants, or maybe you do. Inhale to center. Exhale, squeeze right shoulder to right hip. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And coming back to center, let's do the other side. All right. So this time the right hand's going to go on the ground, blanket, bolster. All of those are options. And then we're going to slowly open up that left arm and needle through. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, needling. So I didn't mention that really everything that we do can be done seated. So if you were sitting in a chair, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, your hands would be in front of you. Your right hand would be in front of you, right hand on your right leg. And you would do the same thing, lifting the left arm up and kneeling through that space you're creating. You know, most likely you're not going to come quite as far down, but you might. And then whenever you're ready to land here, again, we're coming through left palm facing up. Extending that right arm out in front of you. Allow the neck and shoulders to relax. This is one where
Sometimes, especially if you haven't done it in a while, it might be a little hard to relax the neck and shoulders. And if that's the case, you probably want to keep the right hand where it is and use that as a little extra support. If that feels safe, you can experiment with lifting the right hand up, bringing that right hand to the sacrum, gently pushing the sacrum away from the upper spine, maybe allowing that to drip down towards the crease of the left hip. And then decide where you want it to be for maybe like another 7 breaths. Also, maybe noticing the twist here too. So the ribs on the left side of the body are moving down towards the mat, the floor, the bolster. The ribs on the right side of the body are moving up. So there's a twist happening in the torso, a little lift happening with the tailbone, lifting up and drawing back. It's another thing that can be really interesting about these longer holds, right? To pause with a little bit of curiosity about where the body is, how the breath is moving, how the breath might create micro movements to go a little more or just a little differently into a pose. Not always about more, right? And slowly coming up. So let's see. I think we're going to come into a little twist and a hip opener. So if you have a bolster, you can use the bolster, but remember, it doesn't have to be a bolster. It could be a blanket. I'll just show you with my little blanket. A blanket that you fold a few times, or even a towel. You guys, a beach towel or a thicker towel is going to give you something similar to a bolster to use. I'm going to use my actual bolster. But again, lots of other things that you could use from here. All right, so we're going to come onto the floor. We have left knee facing out. The right knee is resting in the sole of the left foot. And then you're going to bring your bolster, pillow, or whatever you've got here to come to the outside of the left hip. So pausing here for just a moment, just kind of allowing yourself to fall into this hip opener. And inhaling up, exhaling, twisting towards the bolster or support on your left. Inhaling, and then we're going to exhale. I'm going to turn a little bit so you guys can see. Now I feel lopsided though. Okay. All right, so we're going to have hands on either side of the bolster, lowering down. We're going to have that little flow again before we come to rest. So inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down. And the next time we're going to lower down onto the bolster. So allowing yourself to release fully into the bolster, the earth, the blanket. Noticing any places that are holding, maybe in the ribs or the hips, the jaw. Hang out here for another 10 breaths or so. then slowly pressing up. You're going to come in back into tabletop facing this direction. And then we're going to extend the right leg back, gently rocking back and forth. So stretching the calf. The ankles stretch too, but you'll really most likely feel that in your calf. And then we're going to ground down through the left palm, pivot on the back left foot, right foot, pivot on the right foot. That's staying grounded. And then we're going to open up. So you can't see the top of my right hand, but the right palm is facing away from the body, away from the front of the body. Left hand is grounded, really pressing the sole down through that right extended foot. When you press that foot down on the floor, you feel the activation in the quadricep muscles, front of the leg. And also that's drawing the knee up. So we're strengthening as well as opening in the front of the hip. We're opening the side body. And if you want to open the side body even more, you can extend that arm overhead. Inhale up, and just like in that other pose, there's options for where the arm is. The arm can be up. You could experiment with bringing the hand to rest on the sacrum, palm facing out. That's going to bring more of a stretch here. It's also going to bring a stretch again in the chest. Just noticing all these different ways as we stay a little longer in a pose that these small adjustments can activate different openings. So inhaling up and then exhale, bringing that right hand down. We're going to twist to the other direction so that right leg stays really extended, and then inhale, twist up. Exhale, lower back down. And we're just going to repeat on the other side. So if you feel like you need to do anything in between to reset, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're just moving our whatever prop you're using to the other side. And so this time, right knee and then left knee is, or just, if we're not doing the same side, just make sure that you're doing both sides. So the left knee is in the sole of the right foot. And then inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, twisting towards the right. I'm getting all twisted up in my shirt today. And then we're going to exhale, lower down. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Couple more times until you're ready to lower down. And then as you're ready, go ahead and lower down onto the floor, bolster, pillow, whatever your support is. So allowing the lower body to relax, to feel supported by the earth beneath. Allowing the ribs to release towards the bolster, blanket, or floor. Softening it down. And then slowly grounding down through the palms, slowly pressing up. We're coming into tabletop on this side and that calf stretch. So this time extending the left leg back, or whatever is the opposite of what you did last time. Just make sure you're doing the opposite side. Gently rolling back and forth. So toes are curled under, what's helping create that deep stretch in the calf. And then we're going to ground down through the right palm this time, pivoting on that back left foot, right? So the left foot this time is going to really be grounded into the floor. That right palm is grounded. You might stay here. If it feels supported, you can lift your arm up. So the left palm's facing forward. And just noticing here as you really press the left foot into the floor, how that's activating the quadricep muscles. That's drawing the knee up. Make sure you're spreading your weight wide through all of the ball mounds of the hands. It's not just coming into the wrist. And then if you want, you can extend that left arm overhead. Or maybe experiment with having it behind. And make sure you're breathing. Easy to forget, right? And inhale up. Exhale, lower down. And from here, let's go ahead and come on to our backs. I'm going to dim the lights in here, but you guys go ahead and come onto your back. Meet you back here in a minute. I'll do probably one more thing before Shavasana. So coming on to our backs. You have that already. Now let's just bring my feet to the outer edges of the mat. So walking the feet out wide. And extend your arms out to the side. Inhale, and as you exhale, allow the knees to fall to the right and head to the left. Back to center, knees go left, head goes right. So a couple more times, or for a few more breaths anyway, you decide. That could be a little faster movement with the inhale and exhale, or maybe you want to hang out on one side for 5 breaths and then the other. Kind of noticing what feels good. And then keeping the feet wide. So feet are still at the wide outer edges of your mat. Allow the knees to fall in. So the knees are coming in to rest on one another. It'll be a little bit hard to see. So kind of like what we might call a knock knee. Knees are resting on one another. Feet are still out to the side. Can you gently, really gently tilt the pelvis and press the lower back into the mat? And let's walk the feet back in, bringing the right ankle to the left to rest on the left knee. And just pause here for a minute, using the hand, gently pressing the right thigh away from the body. Couple more breaths here. And then drawing, if you'd like, you can stay right there, or option to draw the left knee into the chest, needling through and holding under the knee. You can hold outside of the knee as well, but sometimes when you hold outside the knee, it means like people lift their head, right? So if you can comfortably hold on to the outside of your knee and lower your head, then great. But if not, opt for under the knee first until you feel like you have that space to go to outside of the knee. And I'm super tight from lifting weights this week. So my glutes, even my hamstrings, which normally are not tight, my quads, everything is kind of in recovery a little bit. And then releasing that left foot to the floor.
Extending the arms out to the side. Inhale, and as you exhale, so that right ankle still staying on the left knee, lower the left foot to the floor. Arms can be out to the side, or you can bring the left hand to the right ankle and lift the right arm overhead. This is where I wish we had like a camera person so you could see a little better, because I think it just looks a little contorted here, but hopefully my verbal cues are helping. And then you guys staying right where you are, bringing the feet to the outer edges and letting them fall from one side to the other. I'm going to switch directions just so you can better see me when we switch sides. You guys can stay there, just kind of shaking it out a little bit from one side to the other. All right, so then we're going to bring the left ankle to the right knee. And then we're going to bring the left hand to rest on the crease of the hip there. Gently pressing the hip away. Again, this might be where you want to stay if you're feeling really tight in your hips, and maybe this is feeling good, just allowing the weight of the left leg and the slight pressure from your hand to press down. Or inhaling, and as you exhale, you can draw the right knee into the chest. We'll stay here for about 5 to 7 breaths. Maybe coming back here to that question that we posed at the beginning of when are we ready to shed and release? A viewpoint, an expectation, maybe a long held expectation for ourselves or others. A fear, an association, an identification for ourselves, releasing the foot to the floor. Any number of things, right? And if you're not sure what it is, like we mentioned earlier, just in the pause and with the breath, just asking, tuning in, and just asking yourself, what is it that's no longer serving me? What do I need to release? So remember, we're coming to this twist, we're releasing the left foot to the floor, maybe bringing the right hand to the left ankle and lifting the left arm overhead. Coming back to center, maybe bringing both knees into the chest and gently rocking from side to side. Or maybe coming into happy baby, just noticing what feels good for you. Let's take in the next minute or so before Shavasana. Whatever movement feels good for you. Might be extending the legs straight up or up against the wall, or the maybe back of a piece of furniture. Also, if you have a strap, you can use a strap here. I'm going to do more of this one later. And if you have a place to have your legs be against here or a strap, you could be, say, behind your sofa or up against a wall, where your tailbone's kind of up against the wall, your back of your legs are against the wall. It can be a really nice way to be in Shavasana too, if it was okay. I used to love to, in studio classes, that was one of my favorites, to do Shavasana sometimes. So just think about where your body wants to be. book. So just going ahead and getting comfortable in Shavasana. If you need support under your knees or under your head or a blanket for warmth, go ahead and finding that comfort for yourself. So I'm going to read that meditation again that we read together in the beginning. I'm just inviting you to be here in Shavasana and noticing in your own body, noticing where your body's coming into contact with the mat. Palms by your side, with palms facing upward, if that feels okay and open. It's receiving pose. Burying and planting. The culmination of one love, one dream, one self is the anonymous seed of the next. There's very little difference between burying and planting. For often, we need to put dead things to rest so that new life can grow. And further, the thing put to rest, whether it be a loved one, a dream, or a false way of seeing, becomes the fertilizer for the life about to form. As the well-used thing joins with the earth, the old love fertilizes the new. The broken dream fertilizes the dream yet conceived. The painful way of being that strapped us to the world fertilizes the freer inner stance about to unfold. I'm going to read that part again. The broken dream fertilizes the dream yet conceived. The painful way of being that strapped us to the world fertilizes the freer inner stance about to unfold. There is always grief for what is lost and always surprise at what is to be born. But much of our pain in living comes from wearing a dead and useless skin, refusing to put it to rest, or from burying such things with the intent of hiding them, rather than relinquishing them. So remembering this burying so that it can be used, so that it can be transformed, not to hide it. For every new way of being, there is a failed attempt mulching beneath the tongue. For every sprig that breaks surface, there is an old stick stirring underground. For every moment of joy sprouting, there is a new moment of struggle taking root. We live, embrace, and put to rest our dearest things, including how we see ourselves, so we can resurrect our lives anew. And this is continued invitation in these last few minutes of Shavasana, and as you move into your day and move ahead, just continuing to identify one aspect, or maybe it's more, of your own way in the world that's outlived its usefulness, a way of thinking, or feeling, or speaking, or relating. A painful way of being. That part really stood out to me before. A painful way of being that strapped us to the world fertilizes the freer inner stance about to unfold. And knowing too that your practice on the mat or off the mat, your breathing, your intention, your inner work, all of these ways that you are creating space, that inner space, for what is new to grow. And also as awareness, as he mentioned, that at some point that too will be released, right? It's an ongoing cycle. And that both parts need each other. What's coming up new needs that release, needs the fertile ground, needs the compost, needs that release to make space. And one day it will be the same. Beginning to bring awareness to the body, where you're making contact with the mat, the sounds in the room, the temperature of the room, and finding some gentle and fluid movement. And either rock and roll to seated or slowly come onto your side. Also, always an invitation to stay where you are. It's another nice thing about yoga from home, although you can also do it in the studio. You don't have to come out of Shavasana if you're not ready. But whether you are in Shavasana or have come to seated, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart. And just take a few breaths into the heart. Either affirming if it has come forth with clarity for you what it is you're ready to release and bury that no longer serves. Just affirming that into the heart. So maybe just in your own head saying, I release this to the earth. Or maybe you're planning to write that down and bury it. Or just affirming that. And if it still hasn't become clear, again, just maybe asking, really tuning into heart center. What is it? What is it that I'm ready to shed, to release, to bury? To bury in honor, right? Not to bury in hide, but to bury with intention. And then bringing the hands together. Bringing the hands together at heart center. Pausing here for a moment in gratitude for showing up, in gratitude for this time together, to Body and Soul for providing this space. And we'll close with a peace to all, light to all, love to all. Sat Nam, Namaste, and thank you to each of you for being here. We hope to see you back in the recorded class soon, or maybe even live in person soon. That will be exciting to see each other's faces again. So thank you so much. Check out the website for other classes from me over the last year, as well as Danielle and Diego. And until next time, thank you, everyone.